We got a game 4 tonight.
Can you
I'll
clip
be there.
that and get it to
You'll be
Stefanski?
Yeah,
Actually, get it to
They've got
DiPodesta.
it. They've got it.
Get it to DiPodesta.
He doesn't care.
They've
They don't
got it.
care.
Can you?
apparently.
We're all going to be really quiet for a second. I want you to say exactly at the volume you said it, what you said when Mike was in the read after we were doing well with the Guardians and then pivoted to Deshaun.
Man, I said we was having a good show too, man. We was having a, spirits.
Well, let's end it on a high note. Gavin Williams tonight.
Was high. Spirits was high. We was getting along, just sharing our thoughts. Co-workers, just no
It was
arguing.
kumbaya.
We was holding hands.
Guys, Gavin Williams hasn't pitched in 26 days.
Massive game.
That's okay.
Massive.
Gil hasn't either.
Yeah, he hasn't either. He hasn't pitched in a while either. So you don't know what to expect from either starter in this game. They're similar pitchers. They're both guys who did not have great seasons. They both have really good stuff. Gavin Williams has better stuff, in my opinion. Zach and I were talking about this start he had against the Yankees in August, where he was great the first 3 innings and then lost his command. And that now the thing is, that part of the problem for Gavin Williams this year is he's been a bit of a nibbler. And you cannot be a nibbler against the Yankees because the Yankees have better plate discipline than any team in baseball.
They'll spit on balls on the edges.
They have, going into last night's game, I believe they were averaging over 6 walks per game in the postseason.
Okay, they averaged over 5 a game, I believe, in the regular
Yeah, for the whole postseason, they averaged over 6 walks.
First in the league, by the way.
They're a disciplined team at the plate. They don't swing at a lot of bad pitches. So if you're Gavin Williams, listen, you're fresh as hell. You've got great stuff. You got to go out there and trust your stuff and throw strikes.
Yeah, I talked to him briefly last night after the game.
Yeah, where was he at?
He's excited, obviously.
Okay,
he's
good.
excited for the moment.
Did you see fear in his eyes?
No.
Good.
He's always one of these
keel.
guys. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
one
I
of those
like that
guys.
about him.
And I talked to him because remember I wrote in August about the pitch tipping. He was tipping his fastball, and his fastball was getting pounded. And the numbers sort of course corrected in September. And I said, "Did you figure it out?" And they felt like yes. He said it wasn't just that. His mechanics were out of whack. It's just been a bad year. It's just been a bad year for him. He had the injury early. It lasted a lot longer than they thought. He had to change his training routine because of the injury. He doesn't use the heavy balls as much as he did, the heavy weighted balls.
Right.
So he's changed that up. His mechanics were screwy. So they feel like they've got it all cleaned up now.
I hope so.
Now he has got to give them length tonight because we talked about this at the start of the series.
The boom, boom, boom.
This is the first time in this postseason they have games on 3 consecutive nights, and they blew out the bullpen last night. And
but nobody went more than 18 pitches.
But you can't. I don't think you're going to be able to run them 3 days in a row. I think this is why they put Bybee tomorrow instead of today. As the
they did announce that officially?
Well, they didn't, but they're going to.
And
I think it's
Lively
going to be
on
Bybee.
Game 6.
I think it'll be Bybee tomorrow because I know he didn't give you any length last time, but if you have to look at Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, and Ben Lively, which one is your best option to get any sort of length?
Yeah, probably.
It's Bybee on that 3rd day of 3 in a row. But between Gavin and Bybee, like Matthew Boyd last night was 5 innings. That's the longest start they've gotten out of any starter.
I know it is.
They have
Thank God for that.
They've got to get at least 5 out of Gavin or Bybee, preferably both. But you have to get at least 5, if not even 6, which I know sounds nutty.
But Jason, you got to win tonight. So
Yeah.
you can't worry about tomorrow.
I agree.
I understand what you're saying in
last
theory.
night with Matthew Boyd because I would have.
No.
I would have.
I understand
And
why
I'm just-
he took him out.
I do too.
Because of
where
who
they
he
were
was
in the
facing.
lineup.
Yeah,
Where
but
they were in the lineup.
I look at stuff, and I thought he still
I
had
thought
great
Boyd
stuff.
was pitching extremely
Yeah,
well.
his curveball was tremendous.
He was inducing ground balls left
Yes,
and right.
I was
quick
fine with him.
innings.
I thought Vogt handled it perfectly. I
had
thought
his
his bullpen usage
Here's
last
the
night
thing.
was perfect.
You don't have to start the 6th with the idea he's going to finish the 6th. Put him on a one-hitter leash, and you tell him that before the inning. You're on the mound until you give up a base runner. You're coming out.
But with those guys, it's only one pitch.
I get what you're saying, and it is an old school mentality to want to pitch longer.
This is where I think gut needs to come into play more. Gut and eyes. What are you seeing? What are you seeing? It's like Cade Smith. God, roll it. Go on out. Take another one. Why not?
Yeah.
You just went through murderer's row on 10 pitches.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it looks from the outside as if, man, is this desperate? We're managing very desperately, and I know these are desperate times. You made a point that is a good point. I thought this all year. Why is Williams nibbling? And I just revert to when I pitch. I know why. When I'm nibbling, I know why I'm nibbling. It's because they're hitting me.
Yeah.
Guys are hitting me, and I don't trust my stuff, so I'm going to live on the edges and take my chances.
Right.
That won't work against this team. That might work against the Oakland A's. That will not work against this team. There was a shot. I was so glad that the cameras caught this. I think, by the way, TBS is doing a marvelous job with this series.
Yeah.
I thought there was a moment in the dugout where it was Judge and Stanton, I think. There might have been a couple other guys. And you were looking at that they were talking about what someone just saw from the pitcher. And the Yankee was doing this motion, and what he's saying to the guys that are going to face him next, he's getting on top of his curveball. As soon as he shows the ball, he's on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's a tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Yankees team, I think, is as cerebral as hitters as any team in baseball. I can't say that specifically about the National League. I don't watch them as much.
Yeah, right.
But when I watch all the American League teams, I think that this team is the smartest hitting team in baseball.
Well, it's a veteran team.
It's
There's
a
lot of
veteran
older
team,
players.
but also they buy into that. I know Aaron
Yeah.
Boone does, and I know their management does too. And I think Brian Anderson even said in the moment, there's nothing better if you're a hitter coming up than getting a scouting report from a guy who just faced him.
Well,
Right,
if Gavin is tipping his fastball, they're going to know it right away.
It's over.
They're going to
Yeah,
know it
yeah.
right
and,
away.
and then he'll be out right away.
And he has to have fastball command. If he relies so heavily on his fastball, and he told me in August, my fastball's never been hit like it was getting hit in August. If he can command his fastball, he's going to be fine. If they're hitting his fastball, it's going to be a quick night.
I know we have 1 minute. I did a pretty deep dive scouting report on Gill, which kind of
It's healed. He's filthy when he's on.
Yeah, it lined up what I thought of him before, but he's 15-7, 3.5 ERA. He's for all intents and purposes a rookie. He was up in 22 and 21, didn't pitch in 23. One start versus Cleveland, August 20th. He lost 9-5. He pitched 3 innings, gave up 3 runs, 1 home run. He's a strikeout guy. He gets he gets 10 per 9. He walks 4.5 per 9. So Guardians hitters need to be disciplined.
Work the count.
At the plate. His ERA in the month of September or August, rather, his last 4 starts, he was 3-1, but he lost 9-4 in his last start to the Pirates, and he gave up 4 home runs.
Yeah.
So that's it. We're going to channel 3.
He could be wild, by the way.
30
Led the league in walks.